Alright, peace. Shalom, shalom. Um, I want to go into, a quick discussion. I'm sitting here listening to some stuff with James Antney about a new movie, a documentary that came out with Prince. I guess Prince Miller is behind it, and Supreme McGriff, and how they were saying that Bimmy was telling, or he was a confidential informant for about 40 years. I think they went all the way back to around the 90s, right? And my thoughts on that is, really, who cares? It's because a lot of these guys, these quote-unquote so-called OGs, they're really they really destroying the community instead of helping the community. And what I mean by that is, see, we got a misconception that a lot of the guys that sold drugs or was basically quote-unquote gangsters in the neighborhood, that they was people that we were supposed to look up to and things of this nature. And that's farthest from the truth. And see, you had people back in the day, they were basically fighting against a lot of these drug dealers that was in the communities, or quote unquote, not so much going to physical war with them, but they were trying to stop a lot of this stuff that was happening. You had people like, the Black Panther Party and certain aspects of the Nation of Islam, even though you had some fractions of the Nation of Islam that was a part of the drug dealing just as well. But you had people like Malcolm X that really understood the underbelly of drug dealing in the community and how black people are destroying each other. See, they spoke out about a lot of this stuff that was taking place in the community. So when the so-called white man destroyed a lot of our political leaders, these are the people that we pretty much left with. Individuals that are selfish, and all they care about is they self. And a lot of times you will have a lot of individuals, not so much that they care about themselves, but you have individuals, because the neighborhood is destroyed and we don't have a lot of cohesiveness among so-called black people. This is what the community brings forth. You had a lot of so-called white people that was funding the black community, bringing drugs in the community, like the Italians, the Irish, and things of this nature. So when we looking at the situation, how these guys are pretty much doing a documentary talking about how Bimmy was a confidential informant. See, in our psyche, we're thinking that Prince Miller and Supreme McGriff are, quote unquote, the revolutionaries, the Robin Hoods, and things of this nature. But in actuality, they confidential informants just as well. Is because you don't necessarily have to go down to the FBI and start working with the FBI to be a confidential informant. Prince Miller, Supreme McGriff, Fat Cat, Bimmy, all these guys were confidential informants, and I'm going to explain why. It's because if you're working with people that hate the so-called black community, and see, when you go back and look at Prince Miller, some of his conversations when he was in jail, he did some interviews and stuff, and he was talking about when he was young, one of his friends was killed by a white man that was a police, I believe. And, you know, I don't even think that was his friend, but he was a young man during the time. I think they grew up in the 60s and stuff like that, in the 70s. So when he was a young man, he saw it was in the newspaper out there in New York. It was a young guy that got gunned down by a white officer. And the white officer, they lied and said that they thought that the young man had a gun or something like that. They killed him. He was like maybe 10 or probably like 12 or something. He was young. They killed him. And Prince Miller was saying how that had an effect on him as a youngster. Right? Now, why am I bringing that up? It's because if we're saying that the white man purposely bring in drugs in the neighborhood to destroy the black neighborhood, who are they using? Who are the mules that they're using to bring the drugs in? They using black people. See, so you had these people, Nicky Bonds, you had Guy Fisher, you had Prince Miller, you had all these guys. They was working with the same people that hated black people. We saw in the movie The Godfather when the father, the Corleone father, he was telling his kids and his workers, look, we not putting no drugs in our communities, is because they understood the effects of drugs even during that time. But his oldest son, which was Sonny said, oh, give it to the niggas. See, give it to the moolies. And what does that mean? They looked at us as savages. So they will bring those drugs in our communities to destroy us as a people. And who are they using as the folks to bring the drug? They using black people. So we can't just say Bimmy is a confidential informant or he's a rat because he's telling, right? Whether he told or not, right? Prince Miller, Supreme McGriff, Fat Cat, all these people that was selling drugs for years in the neighborhood, destroying the neighborhoods, they were the confidential informants just as well. As because they're working with the same people that hate black people. And they know this because a lot of those guys grew up in a time where white people was proud to be a racist. I told a story on how Prince Miller said that a young guy in his childhood was gunned down by a police officer because he said that he had a gun. And they found out the boy didn't have a gun, but they fixed it where the cops could get off, and they got off for that. So he said that had an effect on him as a kid, and it probably did. But it didn't have that much an effect on you because you turn around and do the same thing to the people that you grew up around. Is because, see, Prince Miller, all those guys, they are really victims of the destruction of our communities. It's because they only doing what they see people that was older than them was doing. We got a thing in the neighborhood where we say generational curses. And generational curses for us is, some of them, is that when we grow up as children, because we don't really have role models and things of this nature, we look up to the wrong people as role models. And these role models are, quote unquote, the drug dealers, the people that's, quote unquote, destroying the neighborhood. And see, you got guys now in that community. You got guys, they going back and forth with each other. You got people that's riding with Bimmy, and then you got people that's riding with the Supreme Team. But in actuality, they all wrong. They all wrong. And see, what's wrong with the black community is that we don't want to take responsibility for what we're doing, what we have done in the community. See, Zip with the Drip, he's nothing but a bozo on the internet causing confusion. It's because you saying that Bimmy was a confidential informant, right? What is that going to do? People in the neighborhood, they live by those codes. So if you saying that Bimmy is a confidential informant, really what you doing is you lining the man up to get hurt out here in these streets. It's because you got people, they really believe in those creeds. No telling, no snitching. See, no telling, no snitching. All this type of stuff. And then you running around here telling that type of stuff. And then if they don't get Bimmy, they can get somebody in his family. Now, all that stuff that you saying about Bimmy or him telling on individual, now what if he didn't never do nothing like that? And what if he get himself killed? Then you gonna look like a fool for doing something like that. Well, let's say that he did tell, right? Okay, McGriff and those guys, we acting like these were stand-up men. They wasn't. They were people that was working with the devil to harm so-called black people in the community. All these guys that's quote-unquote drug dealers, gangster, gang bangers, and all of that stuff is nothing but the culture of the white people. See, this is where we getting this stuff from. So my thing is this: Prince Miller, what is the end result of them doing a documentary like that? Is that educational? Is that going to help the black community? No, it's doing nothing but setting fuel to the fire. It's because what they're really trying to do is trying to team up to do something to this man. And all I'm saying is that they have to take responsibility within themselves. They destroyed generations of people. See, they destroyed generations of people. Those drugs destroyed families. This is why the young generation today they all over the place. They don't have no respect for nothing. They don't have respect for their parents. They don't have respect for the people, the elders in the community. They don't have respect for nothing. And the reason why they don't have respect for nothing is because why? Because of these individuals. See, because the drugs had so much an effect, we don't even understand. See, when I was listening to Zip with the Drip, he was talking about certain scenes in the movie, the documentary called, The Supreme McGriff Truth or something like that. I'm going to get the documentary. I'm going to sit down and listen to it. But he was saying, man, see, y'all don't know what's going on. What's going on? It's nothing going on. It's just a bunch of black people destroying other black people. This ain't real news. This ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of things that's going on in the world today. The so-called white people are at war with each other. And here it is, the black man was supposed to be the parent stock of the whole human family. He running around here talking about old gangster garbage that happened 30 and 40 years ago just to make money. He did not put that documentary out for educational purposes. He put that documentary out so he can generate some money. But what is that doing? It's causing more confusion. It's causing more strife and anger. You see those guys 10 toes down and all these guys they at odds with each other over this nonsense. So it's not built upon nothing for righteousness' sake. It's really built upon something for destruction. And see what's happening. Because the so-called black man is the nation of Israel. See, this is what's wrong with us today. We caught up in a bunch of nonsense. See, Supreme said Bimmy, he was a rat for 40 years. Supreme McGriff was a rat. Because you gotta understand, a rat is a bottom feeder. It's a scavenger. A rat will eat anything. Like, you got regular animals, right? You put them in an environment, they're gonna, like a horse or a cow. Let's take a horse or a cow. You take a horse or a cow, you put them in the terrain, in the field, they're gonna eat grass, they're gonna eat vegetation. You put a rat out here in the street, they're gonna eat anything. And see, like I say, a rat is a filthy animal. So these guys, like, when because see, they want to be just like the white man. See, the white man, the Italians, Caucasians, they came up with the term rat. So now, because you got black gangsters in the neighborhood, they want to use that same ideology because they was the students of the so-called white man. The white man, the Caucasians, they the ones that put those drugs in those guys' hands. See? Before they started to cut out the middleman and start dealing with the people over there, the people over there in South America and all that type of stuff. See? But see, these people that's over here in these other countries, they hate you too. You know, it was a documentary called The Cocaine Cowboys. And not part 1, but part 2. You had that dude, I can't think of his name. He one of my Facebook friends on Facebook. but he was a multi-millionaire selling drugs. And he was saying the racism that he experienced when he was dealing with Priscilla Blanco. You know, they had a relationship, right? Him and Priscilla Blanco, they was sleeping together. He come over there to the prison. She had conjugal visits and stuff like that, and she was giving them drugs to sell to the community. But her henchmen, the people that was, her killers, they hated my man. I think his name was Charles. They hated him. And they hated the fact that she was sleeping with that guy. They called him a nigger. See, why you dealing with that nigger? That's because, and believe it or not, Priscilla Blanco, she had the same mentality. But you got a lot of the females of other nations, they may not like you. They may call you a nigger too, but they'll go to bed with you. See, and that's the same mentality that the white man had when he called black people niggers. He called black people niggers, but really, he's really talking about the man. See, but see, he gonna still sleep with those women though. He don't like the nigger woman too, but he still gonna sleep with her. So she's sleeping with this guy, but a lot of them, they hate black people. And here it is, we was going over there, getting these drugs. We done cut out the so-called white man. Now we dealing with the Colombians, the South Americans, and all these people from these South American countries. You got my man from the Country Boys that Denzel played. He was going over there to Southeast Asia and all that type of stuff, getting them drugs. What was they doing though? They was destroying their own communities, man. They was killing the black people. Now, Zip with the Drip, he made a statement. He said that y'all don't know what's going on here. He don't know what's going on either. Because really, all these gangsters, I could have summed it up in a couple of minutes. All these gangsters, all they was doing was helping the white man in their ongoing war against black people, to destroy black people. This is why black people don't control the economics. They don't control the educational leadership or the health in a community. Is because we are destroyed by these people. And you had these black folks, these chocolate covered black folks, these chocolate covered white folks, these black folks with white spirits coming to the neighborhood, destroying our people and thinking that we doing something righteous. This is what we was doing. See, this is what we doing. We're helping the other nations to keep us on the bottom. This is why we don't have no cohesiveness in the community. This is why every time you see us on social media, we going back and forth with each other. We got grown men almost in their 60s. They still talking about old beef that they had 40 and 50 years ago. What education is that? How is that going to help the community? By running around here talking about Bimmy being a rat. See, we don't know how to come together and say, look, brother, I was wrong for selling those drugs in the community. And we all come to an agreement that was wrong, and we start working together to move in the community in the right direction. You can't do that if you steady going back and forth. You got 05 voting movement. You got all these different, see, these are all platforms that is keeping the black man, the young generation down. Because these old heads, they so set in their ways, they so envious and hateful towards each other, they done for. So ain't nobody dealing with them no more. But look what's happening. Because the new drug on the scene right now is social media. So when you see these young guys watching this, what is that doing? That's teaching the young men and the young women that we can't forgive one another. See, we can't forgive one another. We can't sit down and have a conversation and try to mend a lot of the stuff that has been going on back in the day. And this is not just amongst friends. This is even in our own households. We have family members that ain't spoken in 30 and 40 years over something that happened 100 years ago. This is how destroyed that we are as a people. And see, really, they acting like they trying to get down to the bottom of something, right? They gonna get down to the to the bottom of the situation that Bimmy was an informant. But really, what you doing is you setting up the fuel of fire. It's because, let's say he come to New York one day, maybe about 2, 3, 5 years. Somebody see that man on the street, they may kill him. And you know what these people gonna do? These niggas that's on social media, you know what they gonna do? They gonna make a video and they gonna be like, man, rest in peace to Bimmy, but hey, I gotta be real, man. He was an informant, man. You know the consequences of being an informant. Man, that stuff happened 50 years ago. And we're not even looking at the fact that we the informants too. It's because, look, I'm not gonna be too long. If you bringing drugs in the neighborhood, bruh, I don't care how nice your clothes is or how nice your car is. Man, you the devil. You are a confidential informant. It's because you're working with other people to bring in drugs that they know is going to harm the community. It's going to set the community back 100 years, if so. They know this. And you willfully bring this stuff in here because you done fell on hard times or you grew up poor. You a confidential informant. So with that being said, brothers and sisters, you know, we got to get out of this whole mentality, the white man mentality. Supreme McGriff, Prince Miller, all these heads, they were confidential informants. It's because they were working with the white man knowingly and unknowingly to bring in drugs to destroy their own people. Shalom.